I can fix this. Isabella Morales crouched beside the sophisticated wheelchair, her hands already reaching for the tool kit at her side. She glanced up at the concerned woman and the blond boy, whose bright eyes followed her every move. Are you sure? Rose Williams grasped her grandson's shoulder tightly. This is specialized equipment. Perhaps we should wait for the repair shop to open tomorrow. Grandma, I have my presentation tomorrow, Tyler insisted, his voice strained with worry. I can't miss it again. Isabella, known as Izzy to all, wiped a smudge of grease from her cheek, only managing to spread it further across her olive skin. I've never tackled one of these before, but a system is a system. If you're willing to trust me, I'll try. Rain pattered against the garage roof as Izzy wheeled Tyler into the workshop she had inherited from her father 6 months prior. The sign for Morales Auto Repair outside flickered faintly, its electrical connection as fragile as the shop's precarious financial state. You're getting soaked, Izzy remarked to Rose. There's coffee in the office if you'd like to wait there. As Rose made her way to the small office, Izzy knelt down next to Tyler. So what happened exactly? The motor makes this strange grinding noise, then it just stops working, Tyler explained, showcasing an unexpected level of technical detail for a 10-year-old. Dad typically contacts the specialty shop, but they're not open until tomorrow. Does your dad have experience with motors? Izzy inquired, already taking off the access panel. Tyler's expression dimmed a bit. Not particularly. Dad constructs impressive structures, grand in scale, yet he ensures I have top-notch tools. Izzy nodded, concentrating on the complex machinery. The garage faced challenges, with bills accumulating on her desk and bank notices labeled urgent hidden away in drawers. She ought to be at home, recuperating before yet another day of just getting by. Instead, she found herself scrutinizing a piece of equipment she had never encountered before, all because a child was in need of assistance. It appears to be a stripped gear and a misaligned driveshaft, she murmured, her expert eye swiftly diagnosing the issue. The rain likely caused some electrical mishap. As she immersed herself in the task, time slipped by unnoticed, with her occasionally requesting tools from Tyler. To her surprise, she found herself detailing each step, captivated by his sincere curiosity. His inquiries were insightful, bringing to mind the way she had bombarded her father with questions at that age. You're quite clever, she remarked, eliciting a smile that brightened his serious demeanor. My mother always said I had a knack for engineering, he said with pride. Then his smile faded. Before she fell ill, Izzy hesitated, sensing the all-too-familiar weight of grief. My dad said the same about me, she said softly. The garage door creaked open 3 hours later, releasing a cascade of rainwater that splattered across the cold concrete floor. Izzy hardly lifted her gaze from the task at hand, her dark ponytail slipping free after hours of focused effort. Tyler, Rose, the car service mentioned you were. The deep voice stopped suddenly. Izzy glanced up to meet the piercing gaze of a man whose striking features seemed to belong on the cover of a high-end magazine. He was clad in a perfectly tailored suit, even at this late hour, though his tie hung loosely around his neck. His commanding presence instantly dominated the chaotic surroundings. Father! Tyler reached out. Izzy's repairing my chair. She discovered it was a stripped gear and a misaligned driveshaft, along with a short circuit caused by the rain. Jackson Williams stepped forward, confusion evident on his face. I was informed this was an auto repair shop. Izzy straightened, suddenly aware of her grease-stained tank top and torn jeans. It is. My name is Isabella Morales, and I am the owner. The chair your son used outside succumbed to the storm's fury. So, you fix wheelchairs? Jackson's doubt was unmistakable. No, Izzy admitted, lifting her chin. But I understand mechanics, and your son needed help. Rose stepped out from the office. Jackson. She has dedicated hours to assist Tyler. He has that presentation tomorrow. A subtle change flickered across Jackson's face as he observed Izzy making a final tweak, then assisting Tyler back into the chair. She flipped a switch and the motor sprang to life, operating more smoothly than before. "Give it a try," Izzy urged. Tyler navigated the garage with skill, a bright smile spreading across his face. "It's an improvement. The strange noise is gone now." Jackson reached for his wallet. "I truly appreciate your help. How much do I need to pay you?" Izzy dismissed the gesture with a wave. "Nothing. I was merely acting as anyone else might." "No," Jackson replied, his gaze fixed on her with a newfound curiosity. "They wouldn't." As Izzy secured the garage door after their departure, Lucia's words reverberated in her mind. "You need to sell, Iz. You're overwhelmed by financial burdens, striving to uphold your father's vision." Yet tonight, for the first time in a long while, the garage truly embodied what her father envisioned, a sanctuary for those seeking assistance in their times of need. "But the wheelchair is functioning perfectly now," Rose argued, keys swaying from her fingers as Tyler flashed her his most convincing expression. "Grandma, Izzy mentioned it requires regular upkeep. The gears might strip again." Tyler presented his argument with such assured expertise that Rose couldn't resist smiling. "And you've suddenly developed an interest in preventative maintenance?" Tyler shrugged, the gesture almost identical to his late mother's. "I just think it's better to be safe." 3 days after their rainy night rescue, Rose found herself driving back to Morales Auto Repair. The small garage appeared transformed in the daylight, revealing its wear and tear, with paint that had lost its vibrancy and a parking lot in dire need of resurfacing. Yet the expansive bay doors stood ajar, classic rock wafting out alongside the recognizable clinks and clatters of metal meeting metal. Izzy slid out from under a sedan, gliding smoothly on a creeper board. Her raven locks were pulled back neatly, with a pencil resting behind her ear. A spark of recognition illuminated her features as she caught sight of Tyler. "Hello," she said, drying her hands on a cloth. "How is the chair performing?" "Great," Tyler wheeled forward eagerly. "But I thought maybe you could check it." Izzy raised an eyebrow, a smile tugging at her lips. "Does it really need checking after 3 days?" "Tyler has taken up a newfound interest in mechanical maintenance," Rose said with a hint of playful understanding. "I'll return in an hour. I have a few errands to take care of." Before Izzy could voice her concerns, Rose was already pulling out of the driveway, leaving her grandson in the hands of the young mechanic. "So," Izzy placed her wrench aside, "what's the real reason you're here?" Tyler's confident facade faltered just a bit. "I wanted to see how you managed to fix it. Dad just sends things away when they break." Izzy paused, contemplating his words, then gestured toward a workbench. "I've got 40 minutes to wrap up this oil change. Care to join me?" As the hour unfolded, Izzy delved into the fundamentals of mechanical principles, with Tyler hanging on to her every word. His inquiries were insightful, and his passion was sincere. As she demonstrated the use of a simple wrench, a look of pride and achievement spread across his face. "My dad constructs massive structures," Tyler shared with her, his attention focused on a spark plug, "but he employs others for the actual construction." "There's nothing wrong with delegating," Izzy responded, though she couldn't shake the curiosity about what it would be like to have that privilege. The last 6 months had been an unending battle to sustain her father's business all on her own. "Did you always have a passion for repairing vehicles?" Tyler inquired. Izzy smiled, a wave of nostalgia enveloping her. "My father imparted all his wisdom to me. I was attending engineering school when he fell ill, returned to assist, and simply remained." By the time Rose came back, Izzy had taught Tyler how to inspect his wheelchair's motor connections and had even allowed him to tighten a few bolts under her guidance. "Can we come back?" Tyler inquired as they were departing, his gaze shifting between the two women. "We shouldn't trouble Miss Morales," Rose interjected. "Izzy," she clarified, "and it's no trouble at all. Few children seem to care about this anymore." The visits turned into a regular occurrence. Twice a week, Rose would take Tyler to the garage, where Izzy would impart her knowledge of basic mechanics while attending to her usual tasks. She consistently provided wheelchair maintenance at no cost, fully aware that her business was gradually succumbing to financial difficulties each passing month. On Tyler's fourth visit, a sleek black luxury SUV glided into the lot. Izzy demonstrated the various tools to Tyler when Jackson Williams entered the garage, his expression one of astonishment. "Dad!" Tyler exclaimed, a mix of excitement and guilt in his voice. Jackson shifted his gaze from his son to Izzy, then to the assortment of tools laid out on the workbench. "What's happening here?" Rose stepped in from the cozy waiting area, a coffee cup cradled in her hand. "Jackson, I can explain." "Tyler's been picking up some basic mechanics," Izzy interjected, standing tall. "He's got a talent for it." Jackson's face stayed impassive. "Rose, could you escort Tyler to the car for a moment? I'd like to speak with Miss Morales." Once they were alone, Jackson ran a hand through his dark hair. "I wasn't aware of these visits." "They're not exactly hidden," Izzy responded, folding her arms. "Tyler takes pleasure in understanding how things function." "He's endured so much," Jackson remarked, his voice growing strained. 3 years have passed since his mother passed away. He forms connections with others rapidly. A realization struck Izzy. "You're concerned that I might be seen as a substitute, aren't you?" The question was straightforward, his eyes scrutinizing. "I'm a mechanic demonstrating to a talented young mind how engines function," Izzy responded. "Nothing else." Jackson surveyed the garage, taking in the antiquated equipment, the pile of invoices resting by the register, and the roof that evidently leaked during rain. His evaluation was swift and methodical. "You're struggling," he noted. Izzy stiffened. "We're handling things well." "I have an idea," Jackson announced unexpectedly. "My company operates a fleet of vehicles that require regular maintenance. We are currently contracted with a service located across town." "I don't need charity," Izzy replied with a cutting edge. "It's not charity, it's business." Jackson retrieved a business card from his pocket. "Williams Construction. 30 vehicles that require regular servicing." Izzy regarded the card with a hint of skepticism. "What prompts a move to a more compact garage?" "The answer lies in location and the caliber of craftsmanship." His eyes locked onto hers. "The truth is, you dedicated hours to repairing my son's wheelchair without charging a dime, even though you obviously could use the cash." Izzy hesitantly accepted the card. The fleet contract would resolve her pressing financial issues, yet accepting it seemed like conceding to failure. "Just think about it," Jackson said, pausing as he turned to leave. "And the visits. They may carry on. Tyler has not expressed any interest in mechanical things since before his mother passed away. Whatever you're doing here, it's beneficial for him." After Jackson departed, Izzy gazed at the business card. The embossed lettering weighed heavily in her grasp. A potential lifeline, yet tangled with unseen strings. That evening, she found herself at her father's worn desk, enveloped by a sea of overdue notices. The garage had been his dream, his legacy. Now it was eluding her grasp. She retrieved Jackson's business card once more, running her fingers along its edges. Pride advised her to decline. Practicality and the latest bank notice threatening foreclosure suggested a different reality. 2 days later, she dialed the number, attempting to push aside the sensation that she was stepping over a line that could never be erased. "Keep the wire steady," Izzy directed, steering Tyler's hand. "That's it. Now secure the connection." The science fair project. A small electric motor crafted from everyday household items. Words came to life on the workbench. Tyler's face broke into a broad smile as the improvised fan blades started to whirl. "It works," he exclaimed. "Just wait until the other kids see this." Over the past month, Tyler's visits, which occurred twice a week, had grown to encompass preparations for the science fair. The fleet maintenance contract with Williams Construction had provided Izzy with some financial relief, enabling her to enjoy these moments of mentorship without the constant pressure of time. "You're going to crush the competition," Izzy encouraged him, playfully ruffling his hair. In the corner of the garage, partially concealed by a tarp, rested her own project. Adaptive hand controls she was designing for children with limited mobility. The garage door swung open, revealing Jackson Williams. Unlike his previous visits, he wore a casual outfit of jeans and a button-down shirt. His typically imposing demeanor seemed to have mellowed. "Hey, buddy," he called to Tyler. "How's the project coming along? Izzy assisted me in making it happen. Would you like to take a look?" Tyler's enthusiasm beckoned his father to the workbench. Jackson leaned down to inspect the motor, a look of genuine interest on his face. "This is impressive, Ty. Did you do the wiring yourself?" "Izzy showed me how. She claims my hands are steady." Jackson's gaze locked with Izzy's across his son's head. "Well, she would know." His smile reached his eyes, creating small lines at the corners that hinted at a man who once laughed more frequently. "The science fair is tomorrow," Izzy reminded them. "4 o'clock? Correct." Tyler nodded with excitement. "You're still coming? I wouldn't miss it," she vowed. Later that evening, after father and son had departed with the carefully packed project, Izzy returned to her adaptive devices. The hand controls showed potential, yet she found herself constrained by a lack of resources to develop them adequately. It wasn't the ideas that were lacking. Funding was. The next afternoon, Izzy arrived at Tyler's school, feeling distinctly out of place. She had traded her work attire for fresh jeans and a blouse, yet the inquisitive gazes followed her as she made her way through the bustling gymnasium. Tyler's booth occupied a prominent spot in the center row, his project attracting a modest gathering of impressed parents and judges. Upon catching sight of Izzy, he waved with enthusiasm. "You came," he exclaimed. "I said I would." She approached the display, noticing the modifications he'd added since yesterday. "You enhanced the casing. My father assisted me earlier today. He stayed home from work to finish it." Izzy raised an eyebrow. The same father who constructs structures, yet lacks the skill to handle a wrench. "I'm learning." Jackson's voice came from behind her. He stood there, clutching 2 paper cups filled with punch, thinking, "If my son has an interest in mechanics, I ought to grasp the fundamentals at the very least." He extended one of the cups to her. There was a weight to the gesture, more than merely sharing a drink. It was a recognition of her place in Tyler's life. "You look great," Jackson remarked, noticing her appearance. "You two almost didn't recognize you without the suit." Their conversation flowed more easily than expected as they watched Tyler explain his project to the judges. When the boy won second place, his joyful reaction made every minute Izzy had spent helping him worthwhile. "We should celebrate," Jackson declared as they exited the school. "Dinner. There's a fantastic Italian restaurant close by." Izzy paused, feeling a change in the dynamics of their meticulously preserved, professional connection. "Please, Izzy," Tyler implored. "They serve the finest spaghetti imaginable." "I'm quite hungry," she admitted, pushing aside the voice in her mind, cautioning her about limits. Dinner unveiled facets of Jackson that were new to her. His sharp wit, his focus on Tyler, the fleeting sorrow that sometimes clouded his features. When Tyler excused himself to examine the restaurant's fish tank, Jackson leaned forward. "Thank you," he said simply. He hasn't felt this level of excitement about anything in years. "He's a wonderful young man," Izzy responded. "Intelligent, inquisitive. He brings back memories of my younger self. Rose mentioned that you've been allowing him to visit the garage often." Izzy agreed with a nod. "Is that an issue?" "No," Jackson replied promptly. "It's good." After Melissa died, Tyler withdrew from everything. Seeing him engaged again, it means a lot. The mention of his late wife lingered in the air between them. Izzy pondered the kind of woman who had captured Jackson Williams' heart and the depth of loss he must have felt. "The fleet contract saved my garage," Izzy confessed, shifting the topic. "I was just weeks away from having to shut down. Your work is outstanding. We would have engaged With you no matter what. Jackson hesitated. Though I must confess, seeing how you interacted with Tyler didn't go unnoticed. Their eyes lingered for a moment too long before Tyler returned to the table. After dinner, Jackson drove Izzy back to her garage. As they arrived, Tyler was fast asleep in the back seat, the science fair ribbon held tightly in his hand. He's worn out, Jackson murmured. All that excitement. The scene was tender, a slumbering child, the stillness of the car, streetlights creating soft shadows. Neither appeared prepared to conclude the night. Would you like to come in for coffee? Izzy offered, her words spilling out in a moment of spontaneity. I suppose it's fine if he rests for a while. Jackson paused, then gave a nod. He sleeps soundly. Coffee sounds great. Inside her small office, Izzy cleared stacks of papers from chairs. Jackson observed the blueprints laid out on her desk. What are these? He inquired, examining the intricate illustrations. Just concepts. Adaptive tools for children with mobility challenges. She shrugged. Not much to report at this time. Jackson scrutinized the designs with a keen eye. These are remarkable. Have you secured a patent for them? I can't manage the expenses for the process, Izzy confessed. Nor can I cover the costs for quality prototypes. As they conversed, the distance that separated them appeared to diminish effortlessly. When Jackson returned her blueprints, their fingers brushed. The connection remained, neither retreating. Before Izzy fully grasped the unfolding scene, Jackson leaned in, his lips brushing against hers in a hesitant kiss. In that fleeting moment, Izzy lost herself to the chaos of the garage. Her father's unpaid medical bills weighed heavily on her mind. The practical reasons for getting involved with a client, particularly this one, were undeniably complicated. When they finally parted ways, reality rushed back in. I should go, Jackson said, his voice gravelly. Tyler needs to get to bed, right? Izzy agreed, suddenly captivated by the task of reorganizing the papers on her desk. At the threshold, Jackson hesitated. Let's plan for dinner again sometime. Without the science fair as a pretext. Izzy couldn't help but smile, even against her better judgment. I would appreciate that. After they left, she touched her fingers to her lips, wondering if she had just made the smartest decision of her life, or the most foolish. The answer remains no, Izzy declared, slamming the phone down, her temper igniting. 3 calls this week from the same development company, each offer more aggressive than the last. She turned to find Lucia watching her from the garage doorway, medical scrubs rumpled after a long hospital shift. Another buyer, Lucia inquired, placing 2 coffee cups on the workbench. Identical one. They don't seem to grasp that this place isn't for sale. Izzy took a grateful sip of her coffee. I appreciate this. It was just what I needed. How is the fleet contract progressing? Lucia perched on a stool, surveying the Williams construction trucks arrayed for service. Izzy's expression softened. Excellent, truly excellent, in fact. It's sustaining us. And how's the boss? Lucia's tone took on a playful edge. Is he still making the rounds to personally inspect his fleet? A flush crept up Izzy's neck. In the month following their kiss, Jackson had discovered countless excuses to stop by the garage. Contract adjustments, vehicle inspections, and picking up Tyler after his usual visits. Each encounter left Izzy increasingly convinced that whatever was unfolding between them was worth delving into, despite the chasm of their different worlds. Ah, he's taking me to dinner tonight, Izzy confessed. A proper date this time. The millionaire and the mechanic, Lucia mused. It's like a movie. The phone rang again, interrupting their conversation. Izzy glanced at the caller ID and let out a frustrated sigh. It's them again. This time, the caller introduced himself as Philip Whitman, the Chief Development Officer at Cornerstone Partners. His voice flowed effortlessly, polished and refined. Ms. Morales, I believe our previous representatives did not effectively convey the opportunity. We're ready to present an offer that's 30% above market value for your property. The property isn't for sale at any price, Izzy responded with conviction. It's been in my family for 40%, Philip cut in. But this offer is only valid until the end of the week. After concluding yet another exasperating call, Izzy turned to see Jackson leaning against the doorway, his expression a complete enigma. How long have you been there? She inquired. Long enough. He entered the room, casting a quick look at the phone. More developers, I see? Cornerstone Partners. They don't give up. Izzy shrugged. It doesn't really make a difference. I refuse to sell. A fleeting expression crossed Jackson's face. Discomfort, hesitation, vanished so swiftly she could have easily mistaken it for a figment of her imagination. I came to confirm dinner, he said, his tone lighter. 7 o'clock. I made reservations at La Maison. 7's perfect. She smiled, the development company temporarily forgotten. That evening, dinner at the upscale French restaurant began splendidly. Jackson was attentive and charming, eager to hear about her adaptive device designs. Izzy found herself relaxing, the tension of the persistent calls fading with each moment in his company. Until halfway through dessert, when Jackson's phone buzzed incessantly. Sorry, he said, glancing at the screen. It's Philip, my business partner, he explained, noticing her puzzled expression. Do you mind if I take this? It could be significant. Izzy nodded, observing Jackson as he moved away from the table, his posture tightening with each word he uttered. When he came back moments later, the relaxed air he once carried had completely disappeared. Is everything all right? She inquired. Simply business. His smile was devoid of warmth. There's nothing that can't be postponed until tomorrow. The following morning, Izzy received yet another call, this one more menacing. The zoning board could be curious, the caller proposed, about the code violations at your garage. Older buildings like yours frequently encounter problems. Izzy's hands trembled as she ended the call. There were no code violations, she had ensured that, but battling false accusations would demand funds she lacked. When Tyler and Rose showed up for his usual visit that afternoon, Izzy attempted to conceal her turmoil. But Tyler, perceptive as ever, noticed right away. What's the matter? He inquired while they toiled on a compact engine side by side. Just grown-up matters, she answered, managing a smile. Nothing significant. Is it regarding the garage? Dad has also been reaching out about this place. Izzy's hands stilled on the wrench. What do you mean? Tyler glanced upward, a look of genuine bewilderment etched on his features. I overheard him conversing with Uncle Philip regarding the garage's location, mentioning its suitability for Phase 2. The details fell into place with unsettling precision. Cornerstone Partners. Philip Whitman. Williams Construction. Phase 2. Tyler, when did you come across this conversation? Izzy maintained a calm tone, even as the feeling of betrayal blossomed within her. Last week. Dad didn't know I was listening. Tyler frowned. Are you upset with him? Before Izzy could respond, the garage door swung open and Jackson stepped inside. A single glance at her expression revealed that something was amiss. Tyler, he suggested, sensing the tension, why don't you show Rose what you've been working on? Once they were alone, Izzy crossed her arms. Cornerstone Partners is your company, isn't it? Or the company of your partner? Jackson's silence spoke volumes. You've been playing me this whole time, she continued, her anger rising. The fleet contract, the dinners, She found it impossible to speak of the kiss. All of it was to get my property. It's not like that, Jackson insisted, stepping closer. Indeed. Philip is my business partner. Cornerstone is our development division. But I wasn't aware he was applying pressure on you until just now. Yet you said nothing. Izzy's voice took on a sharp edge. As I received menacing calls regarding code violations, Jackson's demeanor shifted. He issued a threat to you. I didn't give the go-ahead for that. Does it really matter who did? You want my garage gone for your phase 2. Whatever that is. Jackson ran a hand through his hair, conflicted. The West Side Development Project. This is a significant agreement. Retail space, affordable housing, a clinic, the largest project we've ever secured. And you require my land. The garage is the final piece we require, he confessed. Without it, the entire project comes to a halt. 300 jobs, millions in revenue, all teetering on the edge. So what was I? Izzy demanded. Facing a business challenge? Engage with the obstinate mechanic. Perhaps she'll consider selling if she feels a connection with you. It wasn't like that, Jackson reiterated, his voice tight. What transpired between us, that was genuine. Was it? Izzy laughed with a hint of bitterness. From where I'm standing, it seems like you used your son to reach me, and then manipulated my feelings to achieve your goals. Jackson flinched as though she had hit him. I would never consider Tyler. Never. Then what do you call this? She gestured around the garage, where Tyler sat with Rose, oblivious to the confrontation. What did you think would happen, Jackson? That I'd fall so hard for you? I'd give up my father's legacy? I thought. Jackson paused, understanding that there was no satisfactory response. I can't quite grasp what I was thinking. Izzy averted her gaze, struggling to hold back tears. I believe it's time for you to leave. And Tyler's lessons, they're finished. I can't continue with this any longer. Later that evening, Lucia discovered Izzy, in her father's old office chair, surrounded by blueprints and memories. He was manipulating me, Izzy murmured, furiously wiping away her tears. Everything revolved around acquiring this location. Are you certain? Lucia inquired softly. It appeared quite authentic to me. The development offers are backed by his company. They require this land. Lucia sat next to her friend. People are intricate, is. Perhaps he began with one purpose, and concluded with a different one. It holds no significance now. Izzy responded, her tone empty. I've lost the fleet contract, lost Tyler. She swallowed hard. Lost whatever I believed was unfolding with Jackson. What will you do? Izzy looked around at the garage her father had built with his own hands. Struggle. What more can I do? 2 weeks of silence loomed between Jackson and Izzy. The fleet contract hung in uncertainty, not officially terminated, yet no new vehicles showed up for servicing. Izzy immersed herself in her work, taking on every task that came her way, all the while steering clear of the image of Tyler's letdown when Rose revealed they wouldn't be stopping by the garage any longer. The community center fundraiser hadn't made its way onto Izzy's schedule until Lucia urged her to get involved. Your adaptive devices could benefit many children, Lucia argued, and stepping outside might be good for you. Reluctantly, Izzy agreed, setting up a small display of her prototypes, hand controls, wheelchair modifications, and customized tools designed for children with mobility challenges. Although her designs were unrefined, crafted from leftover materials and sheer will, the families who visited reacted with excitement. This joystick would be ideal for Jamie, one mother exclaimed, as she inspected an adaptive game controller. He's been incredibly frustrated in his attempts to play with his friends. As Izzy showcased her devices, a recognizable voice cut through the crowd. She crafted that controller entirely from the ground up. Izzy glanced up to see Tyler approaching her table, with Jackson trailing behind. The boy's expression brightened at the sight of her. Izzy, we had no idea you would show up. Tyler, she said, her voice strained. It's a pleasure to see you. Dad took me to check out the new equipment. I've been working on some modifications for my chair as well, he shared with pride. Certainly not on the same level as yours, though. Jackson lingered at the edge, his expression a canvas of uncertainty. He appeared weary, the shadows beneath his eyes hinting at restless nights. Your designs are incredible, he remarked, gesturing toward her display. These could truly transform lives. Thank you, Izzy responded, her tone rigid. I need to talk to the organizer. She hurried to the refreshment table, her heart racing. Encountering them once more stung more than she had anticipated. Lucia appeared at her side, her eyebrows raised. The Williams men have arrived, she noted. I observed. Jackson keeps glancing your way, like a stray dog in need of direction. Perhaps you should listen to him. Before Izzy could reply, Jackson walked over by himself, his hands buried deep in his pockets. Just 5 minutes, he asked. In private. Then I'll leave you alone if that's what you want. The quiet corner they found overlooked the playground where volunteers supervised children testing adaptive equipment. Tyler stood out in the crowd, demonstrating to another boy the mechanics of his wheelchair. Jackson launched into the conversation directly, stating, I ended my partnership with Philip. I bought him out. Izzy blinked in astonishment. What? After discovering the threats, I confronted him. He confessed to it all, the calls, the pressure tactics, everything. Jackson's jaw clenched. That's not how I operate. It's definitely not the way I engage with those I hold dear. So you ended a multi-million-dollar partnership because of a few threatening phone calls? Izzy inquired with a hint of doubt. No, Jackson corrected. I dissolved it because I realized I was becoming someone I didn't recognize. Someone who let business dictate every aspect of life. Someone who'd hurt people who mattered. He gazed out at the playground where Tyler laughed with new friends. After Melissa passed away, I immersed myself in my work. It was simpler than confronting sorrow, simpler than observing Tyler's battle without his mother. Izzy stayed quiet, poised. The West Side Project was meant to be my legacy, the most significant development in the city's history. I had convinced myself that nothing could obstruct it, not even, he locked eyes with her, not even the turmoil brewing between us. And now, Izzy inquired, her voice a whisper, now the project moves forward, reimagined around your garage. It'll be smaller, less profitable, he shrugged, but still significant to the community. And I'm discovering that there are greater priorities than profit margins. Like what? Like seeing Tyler smile again. It felt like reconnecting with someone who reminded me that life holds more than just business deals. Jackson reached for her hand, but hesitated before making contact. I long for you, Izzy. Tyler is thinking of you. The teachings, the dialogues, the perspective you hold, everything about it. I had faith in you, Izzy murmured gently. That doesn't just return because of a business choice. I understand, Jackson replied with a nod. I'm not seeking forgiveness just yet, only a chance to regain your trust. Izzy gazed at her display table, at the devices she had crafted from remnants and aspirations. How would that even work? Our worlds are entirely distinct. Do they? Jackson questioned. We both bring ideas to life. We both tackle challenges. We both have a passion for improving things beyond their original state. He motioned towards her adaptive tools. These designs are truly exceptional. What if Williams Construction provided financial support for their development? Not as charity, he added quickly, noticing her expression harden. In a business partnership, you maintain ownership, creative control, and all aspects. We offer financial support, manufacturing partnerships, and distribution networks. Do you really believe that solves all the problems? Izzy asked, her disbelief evident. No, Jackson confessed. But it's a beginning. A method to collaborate effectively in a professional manner while we navigate the remaining details. Your father's garage remains precisely in its place, and these creations assist children like Tyler. Everyone comes out on top. Izzy observed Tyler from a distance, showing a younger child the ins and outs of a modified toy car. His smile, his patience, his gentle encouragement, all served as poignant reminders of what she had been missing these past 2 weeks. I need time to think, she finally said. Take all the time you need. Jackson turned to leave, then paused. The fleet contract remains in effect, irrespective of your choice regarding the partnership. Those vehicles require upkeep, and you're the finest mechanic around. Later that evening, Izzy found herself in her father's garage, enveloped by incomplete projects and endless possibilities. Her adaptive devices had garnered an enthusiastic response at the fundraiser, with numerous families inquiring about how they could acquire them. A gentle knock on the open door broke her concentration. Tyler rolled in, with Rose lingering hesitantly behind him. "He insisted on stopping by," Rose said, her tone laced with regret. "Jackson is unaware of our presence." "I created something for you," Tyler declared, extending a hastily wrapped package. Inside, Izzy discovered a hand-drawn blueprint of a wheelchair, adorned with numerous modifications noted in a child's meticulous handwriting. In the bottom corner, he had inscribed, "Designed by Tyler Williams and Izzy Morales." "It's my dream chair," he elaborated, "infused with all your concepts. Look, this section enhances speed on inclines, and this section facilitates smoother turns." Izzy scrutinized the drawing, recognizing the intricate design elements. "You've got engineering talent, Tyler. Dad claims I inherited it from Mom. She was an architect," he paused. "But I believe I see it in you as well," he continued, "even if we aren't family." The straightforward remark pierced through her last barriers. This young one, who had endured so much, had discovered something essential in their bond, something truly worth defending. "Thank you for the blueprint," she said. "I think we could actually build this, you know." Tyler's face brightened. "Really? Seriously? Truly? For real?" Izzy shot a glance at Rose, who offered a supportive smile. "Perhaps we could begin next week, provided your dad gives his approval." "He'll definitely agree," Tyler reassured her with certainty. "He really feels your absence. He thinks I don't notice, but he keeps driving past the garage when we go out." Rose laughed softly, out of the mouths of babes. After they left, Izzy unfolded Jackson's business card, the one he'd given her months ago, when offering the fleet contract. The phone number had become faded from frequent use, a tangible symbol of the transformation that had occurred since their initial meeting. She dialed the number swiftly, before doubt could creep in. "I have conditions," she said to him when he picked up the phone. "The garage remains unchanged. My father's name will remain on it, and I want everything documented. The partnership, the development plans, all of it." "Agreed," Jackson responded without hesitation. "Anything else?" Izzy paused, a smile spreading across her face. "Tyler mentioned that you pass by here occasionally." The quiet on the other end validated the boy's insight. "Next time," she suggested gently, "you ought to drop by." 6 months had changed Morales Auto Repair. The expanded garage now featured a dedicated workshop for adaptive devices, with a small team bringing Izzy's designs to life. The once faded sign had been beautifully restored, preserving the original lettering while incorporating adaptive mechanics beneath her father's name. "We've received 15 orders this week alone," Jackson announced, reviewing the production schedule in Izzy's office. "The Children's Hospital wants to discuss a permanent contract." Izzy looked up from the wheelchair she was modifying. "That's incredible. I never imagined we would expand this rapidly." Their collaboration had transformed into something neither had foreseen, a seamless fusion of Jackson's strategic insight and Izzy's innovative flair. The professional boundaries they had set began to blur as they collaborated closely, their mutual respect evolving into something deeper. Tyler's science project took first place, Jackson remarked nonchalantly. "The adaptive gaming controller that you assisted him in creating. He's already discussing patents." Izzy teased, "Like father, like son, both entrepreneurs at heart." Jackson smiled, but his expression quickly shifted to seriousness. "Isn't tomorrow the anniversary?" Izzy nodded, her hands pausing over the tools. "It's been a year since Dad passed away. Difficult to accept. Do you have any plans?" "Just closing the shop early. Maybe visit his favorite fishing spot." She tried for a light tone, but it eluded her grasp. Tyler and I would love to take you somewhere afterward, if you're interested. Jackson's enigmatic smile stirred her intrigue. I assure you, it's nothing complicated. The following evening, after a serene moment by the lake where her father had shown her the art of fishing, Izzy came back to discover Jackson's car parked outside the garage. Tyler was in the passenger seat, nearly vibrating with enthusiasm. We have a surprise, he declared as she drew near. But you need to put this on. He presented a blindfold. Really? Izzy raised an eyebrow at Jackson, who shrugged innocently. The concept was his, not mine. 15 minutes later, they led her through the garage's rear entrance. The well-known aromas of oil and metal were laced with something else. Something that awakened distant memories. All right, are you set? Tyler's voice was brimming with enthusiasm. 3, 2, 1. The blindfold slipped off. In the center of the workshop stood a vintage motorcycle, her father's unfinished project, the 1972 Triumph he'd started restoring before his illness made work impossible. Except now it gleamed under the lights, every chrome detail polished to perfection. The classic blue paint exactly matching her father's original vision. How did you? Izzy's voice wavered as she moved around the motorcycle, absorbing every meticulously restored detail. Jackson explained, we found his notes, his parts lists, his plans. Everything was present. Tyler assisted with the smaller components, Jackson continued. He's got steady hands. Izzy ran her fingers along the handlebars, memories washing over her. Her father teaching her to ride when she was barely tall enough to reach the pedals. Weekend rides through mountain roads. His promise that one day, they'd bring this bike back to life. Dad always said we'd take it for a spin. When it was ready, she murmured, her voice thick with feeling. He never had the opportunity. There's more, Tyler said, wheeling forward with a small wooden box. We found this hidden in the gas tank when we were cleaning it. The box was weather-worn, her father's initials carved into the lid. Inside lay a folded letter, the paper yellowed slightly with age. He must have put it there when he first started the restoration, Jackson said quietly before he got sick. With trembling hands, Izzy unfolded the letter. Her father's handwriting adorned the page. Izzy, my greatest creation. If you're reading this, we've either reached the end of our journey together or you've accomplished it on your own. Regardless of the outcome, I feel a sense of pride. This bike was always meant for you. A reminder that even the most broken things can be transformed into something beautiful with enough patience and love. Your mother once told me, you'd inherit my stubbornness and her creativity. She was correct. That combination will take you to places I never imagined. If you let it. Don't stay stuck in one place because of me or my dreams. Create it yourself. Whatever path you choose, remember, the most important repairs are the ones we make to ourselves and to each other. Those are the ones that truly endure. Love always, Dad. Tears streamed down Izzy's face as she folded the letter. He was aware. Somehow, he understood that I would feel confined by the garage, by what he left behind. He knew you'd find your way, Jackson corrected gently. Look what you've created here. Tyler rolled forward, touching her hand. Is it all right that we made adjustments? We aimed for it to be extraordinary. Izzy knelt down and embraced him warmly. It's more than okay. It's perfect. Later, after Tyler had drifted off to sleep on the office couch, Izzy and Jackson stood beside the motorcycle in a tranquil silence. Thank you, she finally uttered. This holds more significance than I can express. Your father was correct, Jackson responded. Concerning shattered pieces, finding their way to beauty once more. He grasped her hand, his thumb gently outlining circles on her palm. I was shattered after Melissa passed away, so consumed with creating something enduring that I neglected to truly experience life. We were both a bit fractured, Izzy confessed. My efforts to safeguard what once was, your desire to shape what is yet to come. The atmosphere surrounding them seemed alive with potential. Jackson reached into his pocket and withdrew a small velvet box. I had a detailed scheme, he admitted. Upscale eatery, practiced monologue. But being here tonight, with your father's words, about mending what truly matters, it feels just right. He opened the box, unveiling a simple yet elegant ring. Tyler played a key role in the selection. His precise words were, Dad, Izzy isn't looking for something extravagant. She prefers a ring that won't snag on engine components. Izzy chuckled amidst her tears. Smart kid. He is, Jackson agreed. His expression took on a serious tone. And he loves you. We both do. He inhaled deeply. Isabella Morales, will you marry me? Not merely as business partners, not just as Tyler's friend, but as the one who helped us both recall what truly matters. Izzy glanced around the garage, at her father's motorcycle, at Tyler resting peacefully, at the man who had unexpectedly transformed everything. The structure that had previously weighed heavily now served as a base for fresh beginnings. Yes, she said simply, her heart brimming with emotion. Yes to all of it. As Jackson slid the ring onto her finger, Izzy recalled her father's letter. Damaged items restored to their former glory. A bond created not out of duty, but through desire. The repairs that truly endure. The ones that matter most. 1 year later, sunshine streamed through the windows of Morales Adaptive Mechanics. The bustling facility buzzed with energy, mechanics diligently working on vehicles in one area, while fabricators skillfully crafted adaptive devices in another. A newly constructed ramp provided access to a vibrant classroom space, where weekend workshops engaged children of all abilities in the fundamentals of mechanics. Izzy stood in the doorway of what had once been her father's tiny office, now transformed into a modern design studio. Blueprints for their latest adaptive device. A lightweight, affordable wheelchair with adjustable components that grew with the child, covered the workbench. Ms. Morales Williams? A young apprentice approached with caution. The contractors have arrived regarding the cottage renovation. Thank you, Miguel. Tell them I'll be right there. She smiled, still adjusting to her new hyphenated surname after 6 months of marriage. The cottage in question sat on a corner of Jackson's property, being renovated for Rose, who had decided to move closer after the wedding. To be near my grandson, she insisted, though everyone knew she had become as essential to their unconventional family as any blood relative. Outside, Izzy spotted Tyler demonstrating the controls of his latest wheelchair modification to a group of impressed classmates. At 11, he had already triumphed in the regional science competition with his innovative design for an adaptive gaming system that enabled children with diverse mobility challenges to play together effortlessly. There's the engineering prodigy, Jackson said as he appeared beside her, wrapping an arm around her waist. He had gradually shifted the focus of Williams' construction toward accessible housing, with their newest development incorporating features that enabled independent living for individuals with mobility challenges. Like father, like son, Izzy replied, leaning into his embrace, though I believe he inherits his presentation skills from Rose. Speaking of family, Jackson nodded toward the garage entrance, where Rose was arriving, carrying a covered dish. I believe she's still under the impression that we can't manage our meals on our own. Wedding incoming, Tyler announced, spotting them together. PDA alert? Izzy laughed, no longer feeling self-conscious about these moments of affection. The past year had shown her that family could manifest in various ways, shaped by both choice and circumstance, rather than merely by biology. Her wedding ceremony, held in the renovated garage with her father's motorcycle as a centerpiece, celebrated that truth surrounded by the community they'd built together. I almost forgot, Jackson said, checking his watch. The photographer will arrive in an hour. Are you certain about this? Izzy affirmed with assurance. Without a doubt, Dad would have enjoyed it immensely. Later that afternoon, they assembled next to the classic Triumph motorcycle. Izzy donned a modest sundress, complemented by her father's refurbished leather riding jacket. Jackson stood beside her in casual clothes, while Tyler positioned his wheelchair on her other side. Rose completed the picture, the photographer carefully arranging them with the motorcycle and garage as backdrop. For the business website, Izzy had explained, when planning the photo shoot, people should see the family behind the mechanics. As the photographer worked, Izzy fingered the small pendant hanging around her neck, a mechanical gear crafted from a piece of her father's original toolset, her something old at the wedding. On the workbench nearby sat a framed copy of her father's letter, positioned where she could see it every day. "I have a surprise," Jackson announced, once the formal photos were complete. "It's finally ready." He led them around to the storage area, where under a custom cover sat a vintage motorcycle with an attached sidecar, modified with special controls and reinforcements that would allow Tyler to ride safely alongside them. "Our honeymoon vehicle," he explained as Izzy examined the craftsmanship with professional appreciation. "The coastal route, just as you and your father always envisioned." Tyler rolled ahead with enthusiasm. "I contributed to the design of the sidecar. It features the same suspension system we're utilizing in the new, adaptive bikes." Izzy traced her fingers along the polished metal, identifying her father's beloved design elements integrated flawlessly into the contemporary updates. The journey he never embarked on would now transform into their inaugural family adventure. "What do you think?" Jackson asked, a hint of uncertainty in his voice. "Too much." Izzy shook her head, words momentarily beyond her. This was what her father had meant in his letter. Broken things made beautiful again. Durable repairs that stand the test of time. Not merely vehicles or devices, but rather people and dreams. "It's perfect," she finally responded, drawing her unexpected family nearer. "The ideal way to embark on our next chapter." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the garage that had witnessed so much transformation, Rose presented a cake to commemorate Tyler's triumph in the science competition. They congregated near the workbench that had borne witness to innumerable repairs, both mechanical and emotional, throughout the last 18 months. The framed photo of Izzy's father observed them from its esteemed position, now accompanied by a wedding picture and Tyler's competition certificate, creating a visual timeline of how a serendipitous meeting on a rainy night had transformed their lives. "To new journeys," Jackson proposed, raising his glass. "And to the mechanics who make them possible," Izzy added, finishing the toast that would evolve into their cherished family tradition in the years ahead.